So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. All right, we'll start with Barry. Yep.
This is the mobile home park out there off of Virginia Drive. They've done a fair amount of cleanup. They've got 4 or 5 of the trailers gone, 2 RV trailers gone, we like 3 or 4 more, and they'll be pretty much caught up.
What did they say their future plans are there to
Probably clean it up and sell it.
just gonna sell the property?
I guess. He hadn't really said what he's gonna do with it.
Can he sell it as a mobile home park?
No, sir.
Good.
That's why we're trying to get the mobile homes out of there so that it can't be.
Now, we could just get one other one, cause you know which one I'm
We're
talking about.
working on that.
Yeah, I know.
Now, we did tell him and his, property representative, that when they get done with this, they need to focus on Wiley Drive. 'Cause
Oh.
they own the same property.
Oh, really?
Oh, they do?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, he owns a good bit on Wiley Drive. He don't own, I think, the first 2 lots on the left, but he owns all that. It goes back behind to the cemetery.
Oh, boy. That's a mess.
So we're gonna try to get that cleaned up next.
Nobody's living in these,
There's 2 that's occupied,
okay.
and that's the 2 that we're holding off on doing anything with. He said they're gonna get those out of there, and as soon as they become vacant, they're gonna clean those up.
Are they,
They're not part of the condemnation. The 2 that are occupied.
so what are you suggesting that we do tonight?
I'd like to give them another 60 days because they did meet what we asked them to do this go around.
Okay,
We asked for, 3, maybe 4 trailers, and the 2 RV trailers gone. That's gone, so, yeah, they're gonna be working on the other 2 or 3. Just, do another 60 to 90 days. Whatever your discretion at that point.
okay.
That's a big piece of property.
Yes, sir.
We gave them 60 the last time,
90, I believe.
90. You don't have a problem with either one?
No, sir.
That's
As long
good.
long as they're working,
Yeah.
they're working towards what we're trying to do. As long as they're doing that, we're willing to let them just do what they're doing. We needed a push to get them going,
Yes.
and that's basically why they're here.
And they did what they were asked?
Yes.
All right, that's good to know. Okay,
All right, this is Miss Boney's property. This is the one that she bought off of, Mr. J. Vine.
Yeah.
They've got the roof pretty much hemmed up. They still got some roof bracing to go once they get the interior framing done. They have made some significant progress since the last time we were here. Next couple slides will show the new framing they've got in the floor system. She does have an inspection in, so she's caught up on her inspections.
Where is
Wow.
that?
It's in
It's on
District
34th
1.
Avenue.
Yep, West End.
that's a lot of work.
She's done a lot of work.
Let's do it.
It's good when people do what they say they're gonna do.
Yes, sir. Now, Mr. Seeley's doing the work for her.
Really?
19th Street property.
My guy.
Put him on the
He may be a little bit delayed on some of his stuff. But
Yeah.
He's doing this to make money to work on his stuff.
Okay, that's all right.
So he'll be up next week.
Gotcha. Giving us heads up right now, right?
Yes, sir.
So what do you?
We'd like to give her 60, 90 days if y'all don't have any objections to that.
I think we're giving 90 days.
That'll give her plenty of time to work. She was in the hospital during the last council hearing. So she was not able to be here, but, she seems to be doing better now, said she'll be here tonight.
That's all right. Okay,
That's all we have for y'all tonight.
thank you.
Any questions for Barry? Okay, thank you. Virgil, thank you. Zach?
All right, we've got 2 items for introduction for you guys tonight. The first one is a rezoning. This is 12th Avenue Terrace Townhomes. They are rezoning from RMF1 to RMF2. They did previously rezone to RMF1, but now they're wanting to rezone to RMF2. It's a whole thing for townhomes.
So
but
what
they-
were they at the beginning? What were they in the beginning?
It was a mix.
Okay.
You can see in this area, I think it was actually BGO and ML for each block.
Okay.
But yeah, this is over by, what is this complex called here? It's down south of 15th. But yeah, this is gonna be some townhomes here. And then, so do y'all have any questions on that one? Just a rezoning from RMF1 to RMF2. And then this, you'll also be setting a public hearing date for Good Dog Tuscaloosa for a conditional use approval for a bar or tavern.
Good dog day.
So it's zone
Miss
MG,
Howard
it's
getting some bars in her district, dog bars.
in District 2, off Queen City, just south of 15th Street. This is the property today. And yeah, they're just asking to serve alcohol while your dogs can hang out there as well. So,
Look at them.
Seriously.
yep. It's a thing. They've got one in Birmingham, they've got one in Auburn.
Don't knock my business.
It'll get mad and let the dogs out.
Yep. So those two are
Could you
just-
go back to the picture of the?
So,
So as a former Marine, I would like to make a recommendation to our urban planners that all buildings have to look like that.
Like for Quonset huts? We'll write that in.
Classic Quonset hut.
yeah, we'll put that in the update, the code update.
Situation all the way around.
That reminds me of the picture of the dogs at the poker table.
Yes. Yeah, that could happen.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, your district's going to the dogs. Brandon.
See, I know.
He didn't want it.
I tried for
He didn't want
me.
it.
All right, that's very interesting. I was reading that last night and I said, I want to hear more about this. Mayor Maddox,
I don't have anything.
nothing?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, Brandy.
So, I am coming back to you guys to go over a couple of board appointments. Before we dive into ZBA, I've got one other thing that I need to address with y'all. The Airport Advisory Committee, they've had a couple of positions that they want to take care of. The first of which is going to be Mr. Don Staley's position. They want to go ahead and fill his unexpired term with Miss Kelsey Rush. And then Miss Danielle Winningham, she's no longer with the Airport Advisory Committee, and they were wanting to hold off until the EDA appointed their new executive director. So now that they have Mr. Justice Smith, they want to have Mr. Justice Smith fill that vacant seat for a full term that's set to expire in 2025. So with y'all's approval, we'll go ahead and have this ordinance.
Yeah.
So this ordinance will be on council
Yeah.
next week. Okay, so the fun part, ZBA. In front of you all, you have the hard copies for the 6 applicants that we received. Keep in mind that Mr. Andrew Robertson did express a desire to have another term, but he did not submit a resume. So you can go ahead, I guess you can go ahead and include him in your considerations. But you've got the 6 applicants that you guys got electronic copies on Friday for. And again, those are the hard copies in front of you. So if you guys have any nominations you guys want to make, any questions you guys have, keep in mind this is also for 2 regular positions and 1 supernumerary position. So we do need to make a decision on who goes where so that we can put that in the ordinance.
How is that handled, Mr. President?
Well, I would suggest that we take a week to look over these applications and then if anybody has, any counselor has a nomination from the floor to, we sit and just hopefully come back and vote next week.
Yes, so
How many, again, how many?
Three.
So it's 3 total.
Okay.
2 regular.
And 1 super.
And we can make them any way
Okay.
that's our choice. Only thing we can't do is select the chair.
Right, and so we'll have council again on the 8th. We won't have council again until the 22nd, I believe. So, any action that we need to make, that you guys decide on the 8th, won't go to council until the 22nd.
Randy, I know Councilman Wilson asked last week, but can you refresh us, what's the district spread of the current members?
The current members,
Yeah,
as far as like where they each reside,
yeah.
Do you
I
know?
just,
Did you have
I'm
those?
not
actually?
looking for, so how many, not counting these three, how many are currently there on the board? 5?
There are 7 total, we are replacing 3.
So
that means
there's
there were
4
4
there.
Right.
I know Linda Ford is
District
District
four.
4. Who else is on there?
Michelle Coley is my district.
Michelle Cole
Five.
is your district, but
She's up.
But she's up.
she's
Yeah,
up.
so
So
Michelle- She's up, but she'll per
that's
the rules of the board,
David
they'll continue to
Nelson,
serve until
who's
she's
on there?
reappointed.
Paul Rollins Jr., who I believe is District
District
1.
two.
District 2. District 2.
Two.
Howard Spates, I believe, was District 7.
No, he was, District 3. Yeah, Howard Space was District.
Okay, go ahead.
District 3. Rob Stewart is District 3. Andrew Robertson is up for, his term is expired. Michelle Coley's term is expired, and Linda Ford is District 4.
Okay, so we've got,
And Robertson is what district? 5, 2?
I'm just guessing.
Oh, I don't know.
I was looking at you.
I'm just looking at their names.
Oh, okay, that's good enough for my, I mean, I just.
But Robertson did not put a resume.
He did not submit a resume, no, sir.
But he expressed that
He
he
did,
wanted.
before his term expired, he did express that he wanted to be reappointed.
Okay.
Wouldn't it, I don't know him, but wouldn't it be natural for him to presume if we've already appointed him, we've reviewed his resume?
Yeah.
That's fair, yes.
yeah, I think if he wants, I think he needs to put a resume in.
Okay. We can reach out.
Michelle did.
know.
That's fine, I mean, I agree you should, but
I don't have a problem with him, I just don't know him.
You said because he served already anyway. You should know. But he said if he's already served, then why would he? And I can understand both.
Well, they were all told to resubmit.
yeah, put one in, but again, if it me, and I'd say,
And
they've
then
been serving them for
Mi-
4 years.
Michelle did, and now
I see.
they were supposed to resubmit, so. No big deal, but he just needs to get one in for the record.
Okay, so I'll come back to you guys next week and see where we'll go from there.
Sounds good. So everyone come with your 3 choices next week, and we will add them up and
And I hope we'll go by the most qualified and not just try to space them out in districts, because I don't believe this is a citywide issue.
it is. Sure is. Okay, so do your homework. Let's get this knocked out next week. I just want Michelle back on there. Other than that, I don't care. So we got, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, council.
afternoon.
I am under number 8 on page 2 towards the top of your short agenda. On page 12, you'll be authorizing a joint funding agreement with the United States Geological Survey for the operation of stream flow gauging station on North River and stage gauge and rain gauge on Lake Tuscaloosa. That is a total of $20,160. That is doubled up, and you'll hear about it on projects today. On page 13, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a joint funding agreement with the USGS. These are for stream gauging on Cribbs Mill Creek. That's a total of $12,285, and again, you'll hear about that on projects today. On page 14, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a joint funding agreement with the University of Alabama for the Cribbs Mill Creek Tributary 1, 2, and Railroad Corridor Drainage Enhancements Engineering Study and Report. That is a total not to exceed $20,000, and that came from projects on the 25th. On page 15, you'll be authorizing the purchase of equipment, supplies, and services from Johnson Controls. That is a total of $49,753. On page 16, you'll be readopting the National Incident Management System. That is doubled up and is on admin today. On page 17, you'll be authorizing a funding agreement with Tuscaloosa County Parks and Recreation Authority. That's a total not to exceed $150,000, and that came from Finance Committee last week. Those are the lights at Sokol Park. On page 18, you'll be authorizing Chief Financial Officer to issue a check to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. That's a total of $452.08, and you heard about that in Finance Committee last week. On page 19, you'll be authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional engineering services agreement with CSL Service. That's a total of $139,920, and you heard about that in projects last week. On page 20, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with Electric Motor Sales and Service for $7,450, and you heard about that in projects last week. On page 21, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with ST Bun Company. That is a total of $12,236.80. That also came from projects last week. On page 22, you'll be authorizing Amendment 1 with John Wayne Plumbing and Drain Service. This is a total additional amount of $9,850.50. Again, that was on projects last week. On page 23, you'll be authorizing Amendment 2 to the fiscal year 2023 General Fund Reserve for Future Improvements Fund budget. That came from Finance Committee last week. And we will skip down just a little. And on page 25, you'll be authorizing Amendment number 2 to FY23 General Fund budget. And that came from Finance Committee last week. We do have 2 items that we would request be heard in an executive session. Any questions for me?
Questions for Scott?
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Projects, finance, admin, properties, and then of course council. I'm gonna send you all something that came to me that's, I think it's very important that we look at as we move forward with projects, and also consider anytime the past councils, I've had some issues with everything being tabled, and I'm not talking about the current thing with the pedestrian bridge, Norman, but I think I hope we'll be careful about continuing to table things, because it is money. Time is money to the developers, and also I'm gonna send you a really scary article, actually. It's about the diesel market. January, the price of diesel is going to go absolutely off the chain. And while supplies are dwindling, and we're seeing right now, I'll just say the extra mile market in Alberta, they were 3 months delayed in opening because they couldn't get electrical panels. So just keep in mind too, when you do that, prices from one week to the next, they can go up and they can really affect your project. So the engineering costs are not gonna go down, but the end result, such as the Barnes branch and things like that, if you can take away from the buildings itself instead of the engineering work done prior. So I would ask everyone to please be mindful about that. And also, it's a scary, diesel prices went up 33% as of yesterday, and they're gonna go up close to 56% increase in January. And that's amazing.
How are you gonna get to work if you drive a diesel vehicle?
I know.
Not gonna help your process, because
And it's not gonna help you.
Trucks bring everything
Oh,
that
my
we do in this
goodness.
country.
And
We gotta have
The
trucks.
vast majority of it,
And,
all your food,
yeah, and so
everything.
I
We're
can,
gonna buy it for Christmas.
I'm gonna send this out to everyone if you'll look at it and realize the
Charges.
consequences sometimes when you delay things, that you're gonna pay for it. You could possibly pay for it later. So it'll be coming from CNBC if you see it coming from me, but I'd like everyone to, if you would, read it. Mr. Fell, if I may address, John, of course, is chair of admin, and we've got the short-term rentals today. And one thing, John and I talked quite a long time last night, and today, this is what I'd like us to adopt, more or less to do, is come back, today, it's to set it, kind of like the mayor did with the pension, with the police and fire, set a timeline as far as what we'd like to see with the short-term rentals. Today's not, because trust me, we're not gonna get into a year-long deal, which we dealt with before, because I think it's, hopefully we can possibly have this, whatever we come up with, by not the end of January, maybe before. But what I met with.
Sooner the better.
The sooner the better. I met with Ms. Kreitz, and we talked, and then Scott and I talked yesterday quite a bit. They're going to come up with, by December 14th, come up with maybe 1, 2, or 3 options in STRs. whether we don't change them at all, whether we made them owner occupied, whether we look at maybe a percentage of a neighborhood being opposed to something like we do speed tables. I mean, I don't know what exactly will be our final options, but December 14th is when they planned on coming back with options. So I would strongly suggest, and I'm going to tell those who were here last week to send them to planning@tuscaloosa.com with the suggestion. Is that what it is?
No, it's STR
That's right.
.com would be a good one.
That's right, I'm sorry. STR@tuscaloosa.com, and have these suggestions, from the public. Send them that way so they can, and do that as soon as possible.
Kip, would you say, based on that agenda, the latest that we would vote would be the last meeting of the year?
Yes.
Which would be right before Christmas,
And-
right, as a council,
And what,
right? I mean, that's.
well, what.
The
Mr.
earliest.
Yeah, the earliest we
Earliest
could,
or whatever.
because Mr. Holmes, we were talking about the next meeting we'd have in January would be January, I think, 14th.
January the 10th, there's a meeting. January 17th is the next admin, and I just want to clarify to make sure I'm clear and Ms. Kreitz is clear. December 14th is a Wednesday. We have council on the 13th and on the 20th. But there's not
20th.
but there's not admin on the 20th. So you are on the 13th. So
Yeah.
you meant the 20th.
Okay, I had that date wrong.
Yes, sir. No.
So I think it's great, and we're going to, I'd like to see what the most successful cities have been with SDRs, and just look at ways that, because as I said before, I never in 2017, never dreamed we'd have this truly onslaught of, we had 34 the last 2 months. And what I think the last thing any of us want, and because we all have our neighborhoods that we love, and the last thing you want is somebody to come from Canada and just say, oh, I'm gonna buy a bunch of houses and just make my living off of these neighborhoods. And so, but anyway, we'll look at the options and then present them, and then after we get the options, Mr. Fail, December 13th or 20th, then we'll get the public input. That after that, to actually have like a public hearing, to let people express which options they like best. And I strongly suggest all the council get with Ms. Kreitz too as well, myself, John, Scott, because the intention is not to hurt anyone. And I actually have only got 2 emails. I was shocked that I only got 2, and I answered both of them, and they were very cordial. But I know some people felt like they were kind of left hanging, but you had to have a stopping point at some time, or you don't need a moratorium. You just got to have a stopping point. But we hope to do as soon as possible, and that'll be up to the council to make that final vote. So.
And Mr. Tyler, let me ask you this question, because like I expressed to you earlier, are there certain districts where there are short-term rentals more in than others? Because see, I haven't seen many in District 1, but I don't know. So I would like to have by a breakdown of where are the most short-term rentals.
I'm sure
by
that can
district.
that you can get that.
So
I would say that. So if,
that's gonna be huge right there.
So
That's gonna help us.
So are you
a
saying
lot.
you want all the short-term?
No,
rentals in
no,
your district?
no, sir. I think we got a lot.
I tell
Make a
you,
motion.
But but in some of our districts, we have them, and then we don't know about them. Because I know about one in my district
Come on
that
now,
I
I'll show
found
you
out
something.
about,
I think
that I
Mr.
didn't even know.
I think Mr. Busby.
So
wins
I
that
think it's
one.
important to know how many.
However, when we went through 2017, the most that were here in this packed room.
In your district?
No, in Norman's.
Really?
Yeah, and actually, at Academy Drive and Riverdale and a lot of
Really?
places like that were wrapped up.
Oh, wow.
All about the money.
And I'm sure a lot of them will be back.
I'm sure they will.
Well, we're gonna have, this is on the agenda in admin, for a brief, very brief discussion.
Right, about
I've got some remarks to make, I'll hold till
Yeah.
then. And I presume that Mr. Holmes and Ms. Price has something to say about it.
Yeah.
At admin.
And, yeah, when John and I, we had a great conversation last night, and, you know, I got the heebie-jeebies thinking about 5 years ago, because it was just, at times, it was a true nightmare.
We can take the moratorium
And
off.
angry people.
We
But,
can take the moratorium off if you've got heebie-jeebies.
no,
Just forget that.
I really,
Mr. Tyner, I hope, and Mr. Farrell, I hope one of the first things we'll do in regard to that is define exactly what problem we're trying to fix.
I agree.
Yeah.
Is it that there's just more numerically than we thought? Is it
Right.
that there doesn't appear to be any discretion in the ZBA's decision? Or is it that there's, I mean, but I think critical to getting done what we want to accomplish is let's first define what is it we're trying to fix.
Absolutely. I agree with you, and I've actually had ZBA members say help, because it's just gotten too much. You know, when I envisioned it in 17, Mayor, you correct me if I'm wrong on this, I just kind of thought it was gonna be an extension of some nice little bed and breakfasts that we had around. I had no idea it was gonna turn into STR City, and, you know, I think, yeah.
I'm blaming you first.
Yeah, I know. Well, I won't stand in line. Just glad I didn't say the other word. Then that's, Mr. Crow knows. So, anyway, that's what we'll do today. It's not gonna be a time for, I think what Chairman Fail plans will just outline today what we'll do moving forward. So, that being said, is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir. As your city attorney and an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Alabama, I can certify that the topics for executive session are to discuss security plans, procedures, assessments, measures, or systems, or the security or safety of persons, structures, facilities, or other infrastructure, including without limitation information concerning critical infrastructure, the public disclosure of which could be reasonably expected to be detrimental to public safety or welfare, and also to discuss preliminary negotiations involving matters of trade or commerce in which the governmental body is in competition with private individuals or entities or other governmental bodies in Alabama or other states or foreign nations, the discussion of which would have a detrimental effect upon the competitive position of a party to the negotiations or upon location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a public employee or business entity in the area served by the governmental body if disclosed outside of executive session. I can.
All right, we have a motion and second to go into executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?